I've ever been. I'm embarrassed.
Meanwhile, there's an elephant over there who's 1,000 pounds, just melted.
I didn't know they had rehab for eating.
Addiction?
Oh yeah.
There is episodes on that show, My Strange Addiction. I cannot believe that some of these are real. Yeah. Like some of them, there is a woman who is addicted to like taking soiled diapers that babies have peed or defecated in, and kind of like just like they're all wrapped up, all neat, and she kind of like sniffs them, like compulsively, and then like puts them in her mouth and like she's tasting a wine or something, just like. Oh, that's a Thursday apple juice and applesauce, a nice mix. All right, this one's peas. Like, it's fucking disgusting. This lady's putting them in her mouth. I would think it was fake if they didn't have a couple shots of showing the soiled diaper on screen, like, getting folded and her, like...
Fuck. Yeah, there's no reason for that. I don't know. Some people do have some wacky compulsions.
Well...
And fat people just... They love being fat until they're not fat anymore. Then they talk about how that was the worst thing ever. Like they lose weight, and then it's like, oh yeah, that sucked being fat. Yeah.
No fat person has ever lost weight and been like, God, I don't feel like I have that mass anymore.
Right,
like people aren't inconvenienced by me on public transport. like no, everybody's always happy when they're like, God, I fucking hated myself, and I thought everybody was always noticing, and it's like, well, we were. There's no way not to, but good for you.
Now I'm able to seesaw. It's a brave new world.
It's funny how the addictions work, right? Like I was listening to, I was a lead singer for like Poison. That's who it was. And apparently he got fat. Not super duper fat, but he got fat. And he's like, Hollywood is crazy, man. Like you could be hooked up on meth or alcohol or cocaine, and everyone kind of accepts, like, yeah, you know, you're a rock star. But you get fat. And they're like, what happened to you? Oh, my God. Like, you really took a turn south. And he's right. And it's just like, yeah, dude. And something about, like, if you eat too much food, it is really front and center.
You can do 4 grams of Coke a day. Nobody blinks an eye. You eat 4 large pizzas. You're not getting any more gigs.
Yeah. 4 grams of Coke a day. People are going to be batting some eyes. Like, you can't...
I have no idea. Is that a lot?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot of cocaine to be doing every day. You know, that's a Memorial Day weekend kind of thing. You know? Be responsible.
I think the food thing, the overeating thing is probably the worst because you have to eat something to survive. Like, if you decide you're never going to drink again or never going to do drugs again, you can not do that ever again. But eating, it's like, oh, I have to eat, but not as much. So that's probably one that really is a tough one to get past.
That's got to be one of the hardest to beat. Yeah,
probably absolutely. So, but it doesn't have the same chemically addictive nature that right. Nicotine or alcohol. You don't become dependent upon it. We all love food. I love food so fucking much. It's my favorite thing.
It's chemically addictive in a different way.
It's like real close with sex.
Releasing like serotonin and dopamine in your brain when you're eating something that you like. You know, in the same way that if you're smoking a cigarette, that releases some dopamine for you as well. Just like a different avenue to get there. Because we really only enjoy, 2 things? Serotonin and dopamine? Isn't that about it? Maybe norepinephrine if you're uppers. But for the most part, it's all just different avenues of getting to those same chemicals.
That's my favorite. I would rather have the epinephrine than some warm feeling that, yeah, that was nice, wasn't it? Like, I don't want the dopamine. I want the epinephrine. I really like the thrill-seeking kind of like, oh, God, that was scary. That was amazing. Did you do that? Did you see that? Like, that's what makes me happy.
I have no idea about these things. Taylor, do you want to just lay down the basics for those of us who haven't studied dopamine, epinephrine, and serotonin?
There are 3 long words that make you feel good, and they happen in your head.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get from kindergarten to first grade?
It's just, I basically explained it. Like it's just different avenues of releasing the same chemicals in different ways. So
it's the reward structure that our brain has.
Yeah, it's just the reward system that your brain has. Exactly. You're going to feel good from cocaine, and you're going to feel good from alcohol in different ways. But you're still just, antagonizing that reward system, getting it to constantly pump out dopamine. And eventually, if you become an addict, like an alcoholic or something, you're pumping out so much pleasure hormone that when you do stop drinking, your body's like, well, we don't even need to produce this hormone because this chemical because we're constantly getting fed it by an artificial means anyway. And then you go into depression and whatnot. That's when you hear about people who have like been on coke benders and they commit suicide or something like that because they're so amped up and they're used to such a high pleasure threshold, and then it just immediately gets cut away.
Yeah, you can never get there again.
So you made it seem like dopamine was kind of a chill, happy, whereas epinephrine was like an adrenaline-associated thing?
It is adrenaline.
Norepinephrine is just what the new name for noradrenaline.
Okay.
It's what they used to call it. But yeah, it's just different avenues of getting pleasure, and different things impact you in different ways. But it's all like the whole point was like you get addicted to stuff in a similar way in your head. It just kind of is what is your poison, you know? Some people it's booze, some people it's cookies, some people it's dirty diapers. I guess one person it's dirty diapers.
That's so disgusting. That's the worst, right? Like dirty diaper. Ah.
Why can't it be water? Like, imagine water, just like, oh, this is great. I'm feeling great. And no hangover, no nothing.
So hydrated.
Like, yeah, it's all the time.
Dude, the hoarder stuff is just as gross to me. Like, you know, this, like, stacked floor to ceiling full of junk. They associate value with things that other people wouldn't associate. Like, I saw that, like, you can buy broth in, like, a box, almost, like, instead of it's a liquid, but it comes in a box.
Carton.
A carton, thank you. So it had like swollen from being way past its expiration date. It was disgusting. Oh, did you? And but to her it was like, you know what? If the bad times come, I'll want to have that. And that was
good.
No,
yeah, but that was the core of all of her thinking. Like, oh, this cardboard box, I might need that for a thing. Come down there. There'll be a day when I'll appreciate the value in all this junk.
Have you noticed they do the thing where they can't just take the disgusting, gross man's things and just be like, all right, this whole team start moving it to the dumpster. They move it to the front yard, and then this slob has to sit there and sift through boxes of trash and then that psychiatrist has to sit there and be like, oh, we've got a cat skeleton in a shoebox from 1979 here. Do you want that? Yeah, well, That was Snuggles 7, and he was always special in my heart. And even if his eyes were eaten out by the other malnourished cats living in my home, I still want to keep it. Like, okay, we're going to take Mr. Kitten's corpse, and we're going to put him over here in the keep box. And it's like, no, how about you fucking... Do you need to tell this person no? The ship of keeping dead cats in your home has sailed. It's over. You can't do that anymore. When neighbors are complaining because your house smells of dead animals in 2016 in the United States... It's an issue.
And oftentimes they're really unsuccessful. Like, they'll devote 10 days to cleaning like a single wide trailer, right? And then what do they actually get done? They clean the kitchen of it. And that's it. Yeah. Like, they couldn't, like, other rooms are still, and it's hard, it's difficult to picture. It's like a dumpster, stacked floor to ceiling full of stuff with paths that you can walk through that are often somewhat littered as well.
Yeah, it's so goddamn disgusting. I like the ones where they throw away the shit that was supposed to be put aside for the me idiot to go through, and they throw it away, and then the next scene is the person on the stark raving lunatic pulling through the dumpster looking for a stuffed bunny with a missing leg or something. Childhood.
And
me.
Like, some of the things we talked about, like, almost always, like, the things you mentioned kind of sort of maybe have some sentimental value, like the cat skeleton, which is gross, but a twisted part of me kind of gets it. But this is like expired food that they keep, fruits and vegetables with mold on it, boxes, and like ripped open plastic containers.
I saw one where every time they wiped their ass, they took that soiled piece of paper and threw it in the shit paper pile on the floor.
Oh God!
And they just shit paper go in the shit paper pile.
And they just been doing that forever.
Where do you put your shit paper?
Keep in mind, he's shitting into a perfectly good toilet. Like, he's just wiping his ass and saying, clean, and then throwing it with the rest. And on the floor, there's this big pile of wadded up toilet paper with shit on one side that he's folded together and like stuck the shit in the middle like some sort of surprise for the next guy.
If you've ever been to a third world country, that's what you do. Now, they throw it out, of course. They don't just keep it forever. But, like, we've talked about this on the show before. I feel like, I'm like, oh, my God, someone's going to be judging me by my shit paper. They're going to be like, oh, Woody, third world food not taking well to that belly, huh? Like someone's gonna be judging my digestive system. So I'm always trying to make sure that like I have a final fold when I put it in there that they can't see, you know, just in case someone opens it. And
there was one episode of Hoarders where this lady and this other guy who lived in this house, their toilet broke. And so this was like mid-hoard, you know, this was like year 6 in a 10-year hoarding bonanza for these people. And instead of getting their toilet fixed, they just started shitting in bags and just heaving it up the stairs. And they just didn't they didn't go upstairs anymore. It was like, that's you know, the second story is the shit story. We just shit in bags and then we went up there, leave it for decades. That was one episode where the guy coming in, that overly nice guy had to come in and actually talk to the crew and be like, we got to shut this down. Like, we can't have you guys walking around in tepid, humid air with decades-old feces floating about. Anything could be in there. That's where the Zika virus came from.
They needed like a spacesuit.
Yeah.
They needed a spacesuit
awful.
as far as that's concerned. We all have a little bit of hoarder, especially like. I can go into my office over here, go in the closet, and find old printer serial cables, like cables and shit. I have old like joysticks from games that still would have to screw into your graphics card, like just ridiculous peripherals. And I don't know why, I just don't throw them away.
So I'm a computer guy.
In your home and you're forced to shit in unnatural places, then we'll have a problem. But
then there's an issue.
Old electronics in a closet in a mansion, so we're okay.
As a computer guy, those things are my absolute nightmare. Like some relative calls up or friend of a friend, like, hey, I got this new MacBook Retina Pro. Can you help me get my scanner to work with it? And it's got like an LPT2 cable from like 1993. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't get it to work with this. You fucking get a new scanner from this decade. You're out of luck.
I've got lots of